Ryan Baker. I'm the vision director and co-founder of Pixelscopic. I do the illustration and animation for the game.
All right, so what exactly is Delver's Drop?
It's a 2D HD action RPG. We've added a lot of elements to the kind of Zelda and Secret of Mana formula, but taken a lot of inspiration from the 16-bit era. So we also have multiple character classes, randomized dungeons and item drops, and some roguelike elements, what we're calling semi-permadeath, where if you die in a dungeon, it will re-randomize, but you can drop down to the last level that you played. But the catch is that there is an undead version of your previous character trying to kill you.
Oh, okay. It's a little bit zombie you there, actually. That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of convergent evolution happening with people kind of pulling different roguelike elements.
Definitely.
Yeah, very popular right now.
It seems to be a thing right now. As you can see, I'm currently appear to be attacking a bone of ham. I might want to actually grab that.
Yeah, right now it won't refill your life because you're actually on full health.
Good. All right.
Yeah, but we may allow you to pick that up later for further use. So. And right now you're actually playing Endless Drop mode, which is a survival mode of sorts. It's going to keep track of how many rooms you get to as you kind of go straight down into the dungeons. But the final version of the game will have more continuous Zelda-like dungeons.
Ah, okay. Fair enough. So in terms of random generation, you did mention the levels there. Does it go any further than that, like in terms of equipment or anything along those lines?
Yeah, all of the items that you'll find in treasure chests or that are dropped from enemies are going to be randomized. And some of their properties will be random as well. So not quite to the degree of a Diablo or Torchlight, but a bit of the same idea with some of your weapons and items.
Fair enough. So whose fault is it that there was a spring deployed on that floor that bounced me into a fireball?
I didn't do the level design, so it probably wasn't me.
Okay, right. I won't blame you for
I won't give his name, so you...
All right, I'll let you off with that. That's fine. But whoever did that is a horrible person. I just want to point that out.
I'll tell him later.
Excellent. Let him, please do. Seriously, everything is exploding. There we go. Okay, let's kill the rat. So roguelikes are known as being probably one of the most unfair genres in the industry. And they're all really about dealing with unexpected challenges. And pretty much everything in the dungeon's out to kill you. Exactly how to heart did you really take that philosophy?
I think with our semi-permadeath that I was talking about before, like you won't go all the way back to the beginning of the game unless you turn on hardcore mode,
okay.
Which we've added that option for. Actually, a lot of our Kickstarter backers are kind of interested in that, but. We're basically, I think, in the mentality of like a somewhat forgiving yet challenging game. So we want it to be accessible to people who aren't familiar with roguelikes, and not, something that's still familiar for Zelda players, but with a bit more challenge.
Yeah, you seem to have got that already. I think I'm on level 3, and I'm already down to a single point of life, which is not good. Looking for that ham that I had earlier. Shame that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and we actually need to increase the spawn rates on some of the healing items that you can have in your sub-item inventory. So, those aren't quite as common as they probably need to be at the moment.
Fair enough. So attack-wise, obviously you've got this basic sword attack. Is there anything else that players can expect to see in the game?
Yeah, the main weapon that you have is based on your class. So the rogue, of course, will have different swords with different kind of physics properties and, possibly flame swords and that sort of thing. But you'll also, in some of the treasure chests, you probably in a minute will eventually find some bombs or a crossbow or a wand. And those go into your kind of secondary item queue that you can hold up to 5 items in. And
okay.
Those are all limited use.
All right. Yeah, there we go. I was going to say, I'm just checking whether or not I've got that switch sorted out. Looks like we've got that one now. Excellent.
Yeah.
So now I can head through here and not die horribly. Always nice. So how much randomization is there in these levels? Because, I mean, that area in particular looked like it was set up in a very specific way. You had to push rocks in the front of fireballs in order to safely traverse the area. So, I mean, obviously someone made that. Is that something that can just be incorporated into any level, or is it a randomized order? How does it go?
Yeah, right now the way we're designing it is, well, this particular mode is just a set of, I think, 80 or so rooms that get randomly pulled kind of based on their difficulty.
Okay.
And so you're just dropping from one randomly pre-designed room to another. But in the final game, we're going to have randomized elements within the rooms as well. So we may design a puzzle room, but then some of the block positions or the number or type of enemies may be randomized. And obviously the items and weapons you find will be completely randomized.
Fair enough. enough.
So it is kind of a balance of pre-designed versus random, and then also the dungeon layouts will be kind of fit together like puzzle pieces. So you won't be able to get stuck unless you if you use up all your bombs, you might kind of screw yourself over. But yeah, we're basically designing the algorithm so that the game never totally screws you on its own.
Funny enough, it's not letting me pick up this piece of armor.
So yeah, you're still full in the first room there,
okay,
but yeah. So and there might be some items that could spawn with the other blocks, but yeah, it looks like nothing spawned this time. So you're just having some pretty bad luck.
Yeah, it's not really going all that well for me so far, I've got to say. Oh, good. Now it's definitely not going that well. Oh, you put springs in it again. Right. Okay. This is just horrible. This is designed to murder me, and so far it's doing a pretty damn good job of it, I've got to say. Now, is there any particular reason why the kind of movement system in this game feels almost like you're on ice to some degree? Was that a deliberate design choice or something you try and tighten up?
Yeah, it's part of the physics system, and actually there's a switch, I think, in the bottom, somewhere on the bottom that'll open that treasure chest, which will probably have some bombs and stuff in it, but... So yeah, everything runs on a physics system, so each character class has different combinations of mass and friction with the ground, acceleration, top speed. So we're still fine-tuning that. The Rogue, we want to be kind of an all-around class, decent traction, but not the kind of heaviest. We're actually going to have 7 classes and possibly a few more unlockables. So some of them will have like the Gladiator will be really massive, a little bit slower, but can stop on a dime.
Yeah, so they're not going to be sliding around everywhere. It's interesting that that sliding is actually a mechanic and part of the difficulty of the game, rather than just saying, well, it's got a really slack movement system. It's like, well, no, we actually made it that way, so that's totally fine. That's another excuse that I can make for dying horribly. It's like, oh, I was playing the slidiest class. I'm playing this on hard difficulty.
Yes.
That's how it is. So what are your goals going forward with this in terms of the amount of content that you're looking to put into it once you're at release?
Well, we're planning on having 9 zones. Each of those zones will have 4 floors or levels with about 10 to 20 rooms apiece. So in each zone we'll have a totally unique theme, some new, there will be some enemies that are repeated, like some kind of common themes, but, most zones will have quite a few new enemies, new items. You'll also unlock some additional classes as you progress. So yeah, kind of your typical kind of RPG, like, the further you go, the more kind of cool stuff you're going to find.
That's assuming I get past level 2, which
yeah.
At the moment it's just not happening. It's throwing every sort of horrible death trap that it possibly can at me, which is fine. A lot of people like that kind of stuff, as do I. I like the challenge. Roguelikes are fun. These little ghosts are a nightmare, though. These are the Lost Soul kind of versions of me, right?
Yeah. And we're actually going to have some that are even nastier, so we may have to tune the difficulty overall a little bit, make these guys a little easier, and keep the other ones a bit more difficult.
Well, at least I can legitimately say this time that I'm screwing myself over. Now that looks, I want that. Let's try and find out how to get it.
Yeah, those definitely have a much higher spawn rate for. Sorry.
We're playing the very challenging mode right now where people randomly jump in front of the screen to get pins, so it's very exciting.
Yeah, I think we're sort of restocking at the moment here. But
yes, those of you who don't know, pins are a thing at PAX. They always kind of have been. They've gone kind of ridiculous on them this time around, so I expect to hear a lot about pins for no apparent reason. As far as I know, this might be some kind of crazy marketing for The World Ends With You 2, but you never know. So, crying out loud! So you actually had a Kickstarter for this, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it just ended a little less than 2 weeks ago.
How successful were you expecting that to be in comparison to how it actually ended up?
Not nearly as successful as it was. Yeah, we there were a couple of dire weeks there where we weren't quite sure if we were going to hit the goal, but we worked on some builds that we released to some people, and got a lot more coverage, and ended up getting over 200% on the last day. So it was actually a really great windfall for us. We're really happy, and the community is great. Actually, that's been one of the most exciting things about Kickstarter, I think. Is just talking to all the people on there, getting feedback, suggestions.
So why do you think it was that you ended up being successful on Kickstarter to begin with? What about this game caught people's eye?
I mean, I think like we were really hoping when we started working on it that, this sort of top-down 2D action RPG has been, there are a few good examples the last few years, like Bastion, Binding of Isaac, but we wanted to have a slightly different take on that, and also had the idea of adding a physics system. So I think kind of like, basically we were trying to come up with like what is a unique combination of these elements that can kind of revitalize that 16-bit type experience, but of course with HD graphics and some additional features.
And a ridiculously hard difficulty curve. Which is always good. That's not a negative feature. That's always nice. Playing it on a show floor, it turns out, is quite challenging. So what are we looking at for release date on Delver's Drop right now for the completed version?
Yeah, it's going to be on PC, Mac, and Linux this October 2013, and the mobile, iOS, Android, and the Ouya build will be available early in 2014.
All right. Actually, while you're here, I'd like to ask you a little bit about why you chose to create a build very specifically for the Ouya.
Well, of course it's an Android platform, but we'll be using their SDK, and so that's the only additional platform that we've announced so far that we're releasing on. So a lot of people have asked about consoles. We've had a lot of requests for Wii U and Vita and XBLA, but since we have a custom engine that we're working on in-house, that just requires time to port the engine to any additional platform.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Finally, it seems I've got lucky with the item drops. The game's taken pity on me and given me a bunch of stuff.
Nice.
I seem to have a bow and arrow as well as a bomb, so
yeah.
See if I can survive a little bit further. Oh, I missed the chest up there. Damn it. Oh, well. Yeah, have some of that. So I think I picked the bomb up. I guess maybe I must have missed it.
So, and you can also rotate your item queue there, yeah.
Oh, I see.
So there goes the bomb.
Yeah, I just threw away all of my useful stuff. So
they probably nailed a slime or two in the process.
Hopefully. There we go. Oh, there we go. So are there any plans to develop a multiplayer component for this, or are you going to stay strictly single player?
Yeah, we actually were able to add multiplayer as a couple of our stretch goals on Kickstarter. It's going to be local only, but we're going to have a two-player, what we're calling companion mode, where a second player is kind of like a drop-in co-op to help the primary player through the campaign as sort of a pet or a familiar. Sure. And then we're also going to have four-player deathmatch. So basically, Smash Brothers meets Zelda is sort of our idea for that, and a four-player co-op horde mode where you'll fight against waves of enemies. So it'll be a bit like this mode, but with way more enemies to contend with. Fantastic.
All right, well, Ryan, thank you very much for showing us Delver's Drop today. Now, the builds that are currently available, they're not readily accessible, right? If you're a Kickstarter backer, then you've gained access to something.
Yeah, we're going to release the closed alpha to the Kickstarter backers in June.
Okay.
So.
All right, so if you back the Kickstarter, that's when you can expect to see it. Otherwise, you're looking towards the end of the year for release on Delver's Drop. And it's hard as hell, quite frankly. I must have died about 20 times while trying to play this bloody thing.
So hopefully that's half a compliment and half a suggestion that we should rebalance a little bit. So.
No, it isn't. Never make your game easy just because I'm bad at it. First rule of game development. I'm bad at everything. That's just how it's going to be. But yeah, it's a very challenging roguelike experience, certainly. Nice graphic style, as I think everyone can actually tell from this. So hopefully everyone had a lot of fun watching this. Ryan, thank you very much, and best of luck with the show. And best of luck with Delver's Drop. Keep an eye out for it, folks, coming towards the end of the year, PC, Mac, Linux, and of course then looking towards Android platforms. And hopefully consoles towards 2014. My name's been TotalBiscuit here from PAX 2013, and I will see you next time.